Suffering is not chosen, at least in the experience of pharmaceutical withdrawal. I heard this quote, suffering is chosen, a lot on my withdrawal journey, and it triggered and still triggers the shit out of me, to be honest. People would tell it to me all the time, assuming that, or not believing my experience. They thought I was making it up in my head, or that I was over exaggerating or being dramatic. And if you know me, I'm not a very dramatic person. I don't tend to over exaggerate things. If anything, I under exaggerate, if that's even a word. So I would be left feeling really guilty, thinking, oh, I must be doing this to myself. I'm choosing these thoughts, this experience, these symptoms, even though I was, doing positive affirmations like crazy, and I was trying to do positive thinking, and people would constantly tell me, like, just think positive, just think positive. And I wanted to punch them in the face, to be honest, but I would try and I would try and I would try, but it just felt like there was this wall I kept hitting, and there was this dark cloud that was always following me around that like just wouldn't release me from this level of suffering. And even though I do believe that your soul on some level does choose the experiences that it comes into this life to experience, and I think a lot of people are waking up right now. A lot of people are withdrawing from medications and going through really big, challenging, hard experiences in this waking up process that I feel is for the evolution of consciousness and humanity, for people to get off of these medications and to be sovereign and free in themselves and not be dependent on pills or have our bodies filled up with chemicals. So I do believe on some level our souls chose this experience, but that's another story. But looking back on it now, in the state of health and consciousness that I'm currently in, I do believe suffering is chosen, but not on the journey that I was on that benzo withdrawal journey, because that journey was so fucking terrorizing and otherworldly. It felt like a level of suffering that was inhumane. Like, how on earth does a human body actually hold this experience? It felt impossible and just grueling, and like an entity was controlling my body and my behavior. It felt like I was living in hell, to be honest. So hearing that I was choosing this and like trying to think positive and to deny my suffering and gaslight myself and force myself to think positive when it just wasn't working, it just created a lot of shame and feeling like I was a failure. And I have so many people reaching out to me saying, I'm suffering. I am deeply suffering. And even if they're not saying those words, I feel the energy and the messages I get from people, and I feel the suffering. It's so intense. So like I know that experience, and I feel you, and I just want to give some validation and voice to those people that may have people telling them that they are choosing this. I do believe that we need to take responsibility for ourselves, responsibility for our actions, our behaviors, our choices. Absolutely. And it's not to offload responsibility and just submit to and stay in a place of suffering and say, I have absolutely no control over this. That's not what I'm saying. We do have choice, but I just want to give voice to those that are experiencing this, that it feels incredibly challenging, like incredibly challenging to make those positive affirmation or positive thinking choices and to pull yourself out of this state. And it does get easier along the journey when things lighten up and it doesn't feel like there's so much darkness and heavy energy clouding your field and your body and your spirit. It does get easier to co-create your reality and take responsibility and make choices that lead you in the direction you want. It does get easier to have the thoughts, more positive thoughts stick if you do positive affirmations or that's your thing. But I want to say it does get easier along the way. This isn't to offload self-responsibility for those going through this, just to give voice to those that feel ashamed as if they're failing and choosing this for themselves and their lives. These experiences are all part of the journey, the setbacks, the suffering, but it comes with many beautiful lessons and growth and resilience and beauty and all of the good things. So just hang in there.